Hi there, welcome back to another episode of All Things Home Care with me, your host Dana Arnone. I'm sitting here with two of my employees, which is Donielle Galucci and Francis Maura. These two are one of the most integral parts of our business, and I thought it would be a good idea to introduce them so that families, home health aides, people out in the community, some of the background of an office and how the office actually functions. So first we'll start with Fran, who is the CFO and the office manager of our company. She does mostly the things when I'm not here. She's really the one that runs things in my absence. So Fran, introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about yourself, your age, height, weight. No, I'm kidding.
Hi, I'm Francis Maura, and I am the office manager.
So, Fran, okay, so in the position that you're in right now, as office manager, what does that mean to you? Like, what is it actually goes on in the office on a daily basis?
So I oversee the day-to-day, the coordination, the bills that come in, the bills that go out, patient care.
Patient care. Isn't that my job?
No, I follow up on patient care too.
So then you take it over my job.
Yeah, why not?
No. So part of coordination, so you're overseeing the coordinators, you're making sure that on a timely basis that all cases are staffed. You're helping them if they need some help or support in staffing the cases.
At 10 o'clock at night,
At 10
absolutely.
o'clock, yes. It's a long-hour job. It's a hard job.
Yes.
Yes, but you love it.
I do love it.
And you're paid nicely.
Very nice.
And your boss is superb.
Superb.
Very good. So anyway, so back to the invoicing and billing. So you are the one that's running the payroll for all the home health aides.
Yes.
You're running payroll for the office staff.
Yes.
You are the one who is monitoring the incoming, basically your accounts receivable and accounts payroll.
All the money is from the managed long-term care.
And private.
And private pay.
Right. And
Yes.
then you also, which is a very big part of what you do, is help families apply for community Medicaid.
Medicaid, yes.
Yes.
Get on Medicaid. You need Medicaid. If you have an elderly parent, you need Medicaid, call me
If you need help.
if you need help.
Yeah, so let's say someone calls over and they say, I have a loved one at home and I don't know what to do because we can't afford the care, but they really need care. I've been taking care of them, and up until now, I'm lost. People say that I don't qualify for Medicaid. People say that when they're calling up, saying that when they call, most of the common conversations that we have with people, when they call up, they're going to say, I was told that my mother, my father, my loved one doesn't qualify for Medicaid. And my conversation, your conversation with them all the time is, yes, you do.
Yes,
It's just a
everyone
matter
qualifies.
of education.
Correct.
So when someone calls up, or if you have someone that's listening that thinks that they might want to talk about Medicaid, or they are taking care of a loved one at home and the finances are becoming an issue, what is it that you would say to them?
Well, we ask them to come in. We ask them about the income. We ask them about any properties that they may own. And we can absolutely get them on Medicaid by educating them that there is ways of sheltering the money that they need in order to continue to live in the community.
Okay.
It's basically all education. And once people are educated, they're happy to know that they can apply, and they usually move forward.
So is there someone that we have come in contact with through the time that we have been doing this that wasn't eligible for Medicaid?
No, everyone's been eligible.
Everybody. So if I'm coming to you and I'm saying that I need Medicaid for my loved one, and we're having this conversation, stop laughing.
You're going to have to sell 5 of your houses and only keep 1.
As long as I can keep my pocketbooks and my shoes, we're good. They can have everything else.
Okay.
So if I need to come to you, and I'm going to say, so what is the one thing that that they do have to put in protection? So we're not lawyers, and that's one thing I always have to say. The disclaimers: we're not lawyers. You do not have to be a lawyer to apply for Medicaid. Families themselves can apply for Medicaid if
Absolutely.
they're an educated person. We do furnish them with all of the information that they can do it on their own if they choose to. But if not, if they want some hand-holding or if they want us to help them, what is it that a lawyer, let me put it differently so it makes sense. So would they ever need a lawyer?
Yes.
Yes. So
if they
what?
want to put the house in a trust, if there's a home that they want to make sure it does not, Medicaid doesn't put a lien on, eventually later down the line, you want to transfer it, you want to put it into a pool trust. It's not, or not a pool trust, into a trust. It's not something we can do. You will need a lawyer for that because the lawyer pulls a deed, the lawyer gets things transferred, it gets registered with the county. It's not something that we can do on our end.
Okay, but we can get them applying for community Medicaid, and we can get them
Absolutely.
accepted.
1,000%.
They don't have to transfer the house in order to do the application process.
No. Eventually, you want to transfer it, but you don't have to do it immediately.
Okay, so the other common thing that people say when they call up that I hear every day is my father makes too much money. My mother makes too much money. It's good if you make that kind of money,
Yeah.
but I've known since the transition over time that Medicaid has is really set people up so that they are able to stay in their home. The thought process that they make too much money or the income is too high is not the way it is.
No.
It was before. It's changed.
It has.
So if someone says to you, my mother makes too much money, my dad makes too much money, your answer to them is what?
I always say mom and dad can keep $825, and then the rest goes into an excess income fund, a shelter, a way to protect that money so that they can pay their bills. They can continue to pay their property taxes. They can continue to buy the food that they eat. They can continue to pay their lights, their electricity, their gas bills, and actually stay home. There are ways to protect the excess income.
Right. And do we help set that up?
1,000%.
We do. So if someone says to you, mom makes too much money, you can say to them, that's not the case. Let us help you figure that out.
Let's educate you.
Educate you. And we can also help set up what they're calling is the excess income trust.
Right.
So we can set that trust up. We don't handle the trust here, but we can set it up and we refer them to the trust company.
Yes.
Okay. So for me, most people calling up, applying for Medicaid is something that we can definitely help them with, and something that people should actually, even if you think that you don't qualify, but there's a thought in your mind that you would like some information, I would say call us, speak to Fran. You can speak to Nick, who's Fran's assistant. They can both give you that information via email, on the phone, or come in for a free consultation. We're more than happy to talk to people. With us, we do charge a fee, but if someone has very low income or really no savings, we do a lot of pro bono Medicaid work for them.
Families often find themselves overwhelmed when their loved ones require help to function on a daily basis.
Good morning, Reliance Home Senior Services, where we bring great home care to your home. How may I direct your call?
We at Reliance Home Senior Services are a full-service geriatric agency specializing in home health care in the 5 boroughs and Nassau County. Our services include geriatric care, daily grooming and hygiene, monitoring diet and nutrition, accompanied walks, assistance in taking medications, and case management services. To have our licensed staff maintain quality of life and independent living for your loved one, call 516-308-4840 or visit www.reliancehssny.com. Reliance Home Senior Services. We bring great health care to your home.
We do help them with the staffing of the home health aide after they're accepted to Medicaid, which leads me to my next conversation, which is with Donielle. So the way that it works here is that if someone calls up, they want to either apply for Medicaid or they call and they already have Medicaid, we refer them to Donielle because Donielle is enrollment and she is intake. And that is a very integral part of what we do because having a conversation with someone and getting them onto Medicaid is really the first step, but actually walking them through the process of enrollment and actually receiving the care is a lengthy process. It's overwhelming. It's consuming to families. They get lost in the shuffle all the time. So having Donielle as that person to help them has been a lifesaver for me because it was definitely something that I saw a need for. Someone's going to call. Oh, now I hear myself. Someone's going to call up and they're going to, or a friend's going to say to you, hey, Donielle, so-and-so just got accepted to Medicaid. Here's the acceptance letter. You're going to contact the family. And what's the next step after someone gets accepted onto Medicaid? Because what I find a lot is that people will say, oh, I got my Medicaid number. I'm accepted. Give me the care. And they don't realize that there's a huge step after that. I think that a lot of times when people go to lawyers too, the lawyer's going to take them to the point of acceptance, and then they walk away. Mm-hmm. So we don't mind when lawyers call us up and give us the Medicaid out. We like that. But also here, if we're applying for our families, we hold their hand throughout the process. Mm-hmm. So you're part of the process. You're there. You hold their hand, Donielle.
Yes, I do.
And you carry them through, kicking and screaming, but you get them to the finish line, which is the care in the home.
Definitely.
Okay. What kind of information are you going to gather from the families?
Well, first, I try to explain to them the timeline of things.
Right.
Because most of the time, once the patient gets accepted to Medicaid, they have generally about 2 months until they're enrolled with a managed long-term care
And receiving
company.
the care, where the care is paid for.
Correct.
Okay. So the getting the ID number is step numeral,
applying one,
getting
the
acceptance letter.
acceptance letters, secondary, and then from there, I can guide them to the third step is telling them to call Maximus and setting up an appointment because that's necessary.
What is Maximus exactly?
So
that
Maximus is a state nurse will come out to do an evaluation on a patient to see if they are approved for long-term care. And that step needs to happen in order for the second step to happen.
If someone when they come to evaluate them, it's a lengthy process.
Yes, it's 3.5 hours.
Okay, so what the families need to know is that when you're setting up that appointment with Maximus, take whatever appointment they give you.
Yes.
Because they don't understand that until that appointment is done and completed, they can't move on to the next steps.
That's correct. And
Okay.
most of the time, it's 2 to 3 weeks out just from the initial
to
call.
get the appointment. Okay, so Maximus is going to come in. Maximus is going to talk to them about the services that the state is going to provide as far as Medicaid is concerned.
Correct.
And then at that meeting, they have to choose the managed care program.
That's correct. They choose a plan.
They choose a plan, and we kind of help them. If they're one of our families, we're going to tell them who we're contracted with.
Correct.
Which is Age Well Centers and Integra.
Correct.
I have to give them a plug because they're fabulous to
Yes.
us. So if they choose one of the plans that we're contracted with, fabulous. If they choose to go on their own, they're entitled to do that too.
They are.
We try to, help them stay with us. But if they choose not to, that's, patient right. So they're going to call you up and they're going to say, okay, I had my Maximus appointment. Now what?
So after they had chosen a plan, then I'll send out a referral to that plan. And from there, the plan is to contact the patient to set up a nurse to come out to do an evaluation on them. The nurse, when she does go out to do the evaluation, she's there to determine how many hours and days the patient's approved for home care.
So the other part of the managed care coming out to evaluate them, that's a timeline. Everything is very timed because it's an insurance company
Correct.
for the most part. And if we don't get them the information and the assessments completed by a certain time during the month, they're not going to enroll for that next month.
That's
so
correct.
Managed care enrolls the first of every month. Or every month, first of every month. So if we get somebody that has all the assessments by, the 15th of the month, then good to go for the first of that following month. But
Correct.
if not, if they're done on the 21st, they're looking at a whole other month and a half of waiting to get enrolled.
That is correct.
Right. So so when families call you up and when families say, "Oh, I canceled my appointment," that's a no-no.
That's a big no-no.
Don't do that.
You never want to cancel any appointment or even miss their phone calls.
Right. So,
don't.
Or if you're with our families, what we try to encourage them to do is if they're not getting the connection with whoever they want to always call us, and you'll be happy to make those phone calls.
Absolutely, of course.
Okay. So Maximus, managed care. Once managed care comes in, gives the hours, gives the days a week, we get authorization to provide services, and then we start.
Correct.
Good. That's nice.
It is.
Yeah. So what's it now? The other option that people can do is they call up and they're going to say, "Hey, I need help for my mom, and we don't qualify for Medicaid. We don't want to apply for Medicaid. We're looking at private hire," which happens to be one of my favorite things. Anyway, so private hire, how does that go? Same process?
No, completely different process, much easier. So if the family can afford private hire, we can have a home health aide the next day there. So it just all depends.
What's some important information that families should know when they're calling to hire someone, or even if they're getting on Medicaid and they're going to have a caretaker in their home? What is some of the information that they should be prepared to give over to you so that we could find them the right caretaker?
They definitely need to tell us about the patient. They need to tell me what their needs are and what type of help they will provide, so then we can here at the office have a conversation and then set the right home health aide out to provide the best care.
Right. So you want to know ambulatory status,
Yes.
Toileting status, can they function? Are they alert and oriented?
walk?
Can they walk?
Are they full risk?
Most important thing, pets in the home.
Yes.
We need to know because there's a lot of allergies out there. So these are things that you're gathering upon your initial intake of every patient.
That is correct.
And so that when you get that information, you're going to sit back and go over with the coordinators, and you're going to say, listen, this is the case. The patient is, 90 years old, male patient, bed-bound, Hoya lifted, diapered, whatever. Or you're going to, and that's how they're going to try to really match them up with the right caretaker.
Yes.
Okay, so families, when they call up, they can call and talk to you, Donielle, and extension 211, right?
Yes.
Okay, I forgot.
Yes.
So, and they can go through all that stuff, and you're more than happy to give out that information. You'll send them over a contract. We do have a contract. That's just to protect both sides. Or you will be happy to meet them. That's the next part of your job.
Sure.
If they need you to meet them in a nursing home, in their home, at the hospital,
I'd gladly go.
you'll gladly go and explain to things. Sometimes in person, it comes across a little bit, easier for families because they're going through a really hard time. When they're calling us, it's not at the best time of their life. It's usually the most stressful time in their lives. And we try to really, really, give them the patience and give them the opportunity to, be upset, be anxious, and get it all out so that, we can help them through the process.
And, just to back up a little bit, too, we may want to have a conversation about this, is that a lot of times when patients enter a rehab, it would be wise that a patient may want to enroll, like, in the beginning of their stay at rehab because it takes so long for them. It takes, it's a process and it's timely for them to get enrolled into Medicaid. So if the family or the doctors recommend that the patient, is going to receive help when they do get discharged and when they do go home, it's definitely wise to get that process started.
So you're saying that when they enter into the nursing home or for a rehab stay,
Or a
post-hospitalization,
rehab,
when they're in there, if they feel that there's going to be a need for care, that maybe they have the conversation with the social worker can direct them
Yes.
towards whomever, hopefully us.
Yes.
But if not, as long as they receive the care. And that's best to start it at the admission process so that upon discharge, most of that's already been taken care of.
Correct.
Maximus will go evaluate it, but they have to also look at the home. So
Correct.
there's 2 appointments if they're in the rehab center to go to see them there and then to also go to the home they want to make sure that the house is safe for everybody, for
Yes.
the patient and for the aide going in. And then the managed care can go into the rehab and assess them too. And then hopefully the goal would be upon discharge that they would have the care in place.
And also, too, another big misunderstanding we may want to talk about is that a lot of times when a patient gets discharged from a rehab or hospital, 99% of the time they're told this patient should go home, and when they do go home, they should receive 24-hour, 7-day-a-week care. And then when the patient goes through Medicaid, and then Medicaid may come in and do the assessment, and they only offer, they're only offered like maybe 8 hours, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
The families are very upset. But I think it's just having that information and having that family know that the Medicaid assessment and the managed long-term care assessment is the true answer of what they need at home.
Or what they're going to receive.
Or what they're going
Yeah.
to receive. But majority of the time, when they do those assessments, they are correct. It's not just a recommendation.
Yeah.
So a lot of families do wind up getting very upset about that because they were told otherwise, and then they got told a completely different story from the plan or Maximus. So that's just another thing to
Yeah.
keep in mind as well.
But the thing is when I hear you on the phone talking to families, I hear you very clearly educating them on that, so that when they're educated to the point where they should not be surprised.
No.
So, it's getting harder to get live-ins now.
It is.
It's getting harder to get those long-hour cases from the managed care. So we try to talk to the family so that they're prepared. The other option is that you can have Medicaid services in place through managed care and receive private hire. So if they get less hours than they were expecting, they have the option of hiring that same aide through us for the extended hours to keep their loved
Correct.
ones.
They can even use their pool trust money to pay for the extra care at home.
That's brilliant, Fran. Well, ladies, it's time to get back to work. So go. No, just kidding. So I want to thank you both for being here with me and giving a very good explanation of some of the internal workings of a licensed home care agency, because both of your roles to me are very important, and I think you guys excel at them. And I'm very happy that you're working with me and you're making Reliance the company that I've always dreamt of, and you're a very, very big part of what we do here. So the families for Francis Maura, Medicaid questions, even if you just have a question you want to pick her brain, she's more than happy to do that. Maybe.
I am.
And Donielle Galucci. So if you have a question on intake, or if you like some services, or just information on us as a business, you can call Donielle, or you can visit us at RelianceHSSNY.com.